All right, y'all, we back with another video. So today we are going to be going over one of the characters that released on global, that character being Saki Rindo. Now, I haven't used her that much. I'm familiar with what she does, but I haven't used her that much, and there's a big reason for why I didn't use her. It's just because of her modifiers and things like that. Her kit is kind of iffy for me. When you kind of consider that there's other powerful characters that take less effort and they literally just hit hard. Like the characters I'm talking about is obviously, Teen Ghetto and Hollow Purple Gojo. Literally no effort at all. And the thing is, she isn't like a hard main DPS. She is more so a bruiser type DPS. And the biggest problem with bruiser types is they're trying to lean into both areas where you want to have survivability, but at the same time you want to have damage. And a lot of the times when you want to have survivability, you also want to have a lot of damage, right? But you don't have that damage because you literally are split between both of those roles. I really like this character. Believe it or not, I actually really like this original character. It's just the character that you actually play in the game is just not that good. So anyways, like we were saying, she is a bruiser type DPS whose damage scales on the lower her HP gets, so very risky. I wouldn't even say it's really kind of high reward because there's other characters that can do more damage than her, even without having to be low HP. She has a skill 3 and a special, which they deal a lot of damage at, low HP, while also being able to kind of buff herself. Now, her kit does combine damage, although her physical damage kind of scales a little bit higher than her curse technique damage. So just keep that in mind. She is considered to be very useful though for, chapter 13 and 14, where like the stage and the EX bosses take more damage from physical green type damage. On top of that, even though her damage ceiling is probably higher, she still gets, outshined by units like Green Yuji and Green Nanami, like I mentioned. She's very risky and unreliable in late game content because, of course, again, you have to be low HP and an enemy can literally just kick you off like immediately with you being at low HP. And there's other characters that do similar damage while not having a risk factor, like I obviously mentioned, is, characters like Gojo, Teen Ghetto, all these other characters that can do tremendous amounts of damage while also having no risk and providing utility for your team. She just doesn't kind of fulfill that situation. She's kind of a less of all of those. Now, her characteristic, which is, what she's able to do, is going to be able to give her a 180% physical and curse technique stimulant, right? It's kind of like a buff, as long as she is 35% HP or below. So it is kind of insane. It's essentially a 3 times damage modifier for your entire kit. Granted, you're at 35% or below. And like I said, that's just extremely risky and very rare situation that you'll ever get that off. Now, her skill 2 enables her gimmick. So this is a self buff which inflicts damage to herself by 10% of her HP. So she'll kind of lower her own HP as well to kind of help you get below these thresholds. And this will allow her to slightly increase the consistency of getting to low HP for her damage boost for her skills. It's pretty cheap because it's only 15 curse energy, so it's very maintainable. It's probably the skill that you want to spam in the early turns until you're like low enough to kind of nuke the enemy. So this is kind of what you're going to use to kind of set yourself up. Now, you have your skill 3. Your skill 3 is a pretty strong AoE attack. Like, it's really strong. It does really good damage, and it has a 350% modifier and can scale by another 40% depending on how low her HP is. And then, especially when you get that damage boost from her characteristic, it basically will do as much damage as a special. But again, extremely risky. She will also fill her own ultimate gauge by 250, giving it like kind of an additional utility. So her skill 3 is very nice and very potent. Now, her special is very simple. It's just a normal special that has just kind of average modifiers to just do damage. Obviously, being below a certain threshold is going to increase the overall damage of this, and it's going to hit even harder. Now, her passive skill is going to be giving her survivability while low HP. So to decrease her risk factor of when she's on low HP, her auto skill is going to protect her by granting her damage reduction and revival, and she can revive herself once and get attack notification for 1 turn when revived, right? Now, on top of that, she'll decrease the damage taken by up to 40% depending on how low her HP is. And when she gets to 35% HP or below, she'll gain an additional 50% damage decrease. On paper, Saki does really sound insane, but honestly, let's see her numbers if they're actually good in a practical test. I'm going to assume no, considering not really a lot of people use her just because of how her kit functions. So anyways, let's get right into the showcase. I'm going to level up these skills just in case if you do question me here. But yeah, let's go into the showcase, well, the teams, and then we'll talk about the showcase. All right, so here we are at the team. So we're gonna have the normal team, of course, and then we're gonna have our Nuke team. This is kind of like what we always do around here, so just keep that in mind. Here we have Yaga, we have Team Geto, we have Yuki, and then we have Saki. Should be fairly obvious why we're using these characters. Yaga for buffing, Team Geto for debuffing the enemy, so that way we increase our damage output, plus he's green, and that kind of helps, you know, Saki a bit more. Then we have Yuki, of course, as a buffer. He does boost curse technique, and then obviously gives us curse energy regen, because keep in mind, Rindo does use kind of a mixture of, you know, physical and cursed, so she will still be able to benefit from him. Then we have Saki as our main carry. Let's move on to the Nuke team. So we're gonna have this team right here. This should have been fairly obvious. We have Domain Expansion Gojo, we have Domain Megami, and then we have Team Geto. All these characters, tremendous debuffers in the game. This is going to allow our Saki to basically output a lot of damage when we need her to, of course, in the nuking turn. And then, yeah, I mean, memories, this is just a stall. You know, this is just to, of course, also help our team do more damage. Same here. And yeah, that's basically going to be the team. I'll just kind of go through the skill level so you can kind of see it. Ooh, I just passed it real quick. So these are going to be my skill level. So this is the first team, the optimal normal team. And then this is going to be the Nuke team right here. Obviously, I can get a little bit higher with, you know, Rindo's skills and ult, but I feel like she's not really that much worth the investment, and I'm kind of lacking a lot of JP right now. So yeah, it's very tough for me to do this while, you know, Iori just came out on JP. Anyways, without further ado, let's actually get into the showcase. All right, so we're straight off in the fight. We are here on floor 37 of tower. We're probably going to do the same for the normal team and the Nuke team, but this would just be a normal standard team that you would kind of run with her and see how it goes. So we're just going to do like kind of like, I guess you can say improv, just on the spot, right? Because this is just kind of a normal team. This is just like if you were just to run the event, what you would just be doing. This isn't going to be the optimal rotations or anything like that, but this is what you would kind of expect. Although I'm going to try my best, of course, to make the most optimal decisions for each scenario. So we're going to use Unity straight away. We're going to buff with Yaga. Then we're going to be using our skill 3 with on Team Geto. The reason we're going to be using skill 3 is because that increases the amount of damage that he takes from physical attacks and green physical attacks. And keep in mind, Saki is going to scale higher from green physical attacks. So that is the scale higher from her like physical damage, even though she's combined. So obviously we're going to be doing skill 3. Then Yuki, the standard curse energy regen, and we're going to be spamming skill 2 with Saki. The main reason we're going to be spamming skill 2 is just purely based off the fact that it's going to sacrifice HP, and the lower HP we have, the more damage that she's going to be able to do. So we're just going to keep spamming skill 2 until we're ready to go. Hopefully like below 35% HP threshold. Okay, we buff, we skill 3, we skill 1, we skill 2 again. And then skill 2 also buffs her physical damage, her taijutsu, so. Skill 2, skill 3, skill 1, skill 2. As you can see, it does take quite some time for her to get below you know, her threshold. It's very tedious to play this character. Skill 2, skill 3, skill 3, skill 2. Buff, skill 3, skill 1, skill 2, and I believe she should be, I think she's probably already above 60, excuse me, below 35%. Let me see. It looks like it, right? Because 7k times 3 would be 21k, right? Yeah, so I believe we're under the threshold, so we could just go off and, you know, pop off on him then. We already got plenty of buffs. We've already skilled 3 multitudes of times. We could use, of course, the ult here. And the ult will break the enemy, I'm pretty sure. So we'll do that. We could debuff, but I think we'll just ult here, and then we will use perfect sync with the, of course, the memory from Yuki, and then we'll use Saki's skill 3 here. No, we'll use her skill 2, and that'll charge her up. Or do we wait a turn? I think we wait a turn. Yeah, we wait one more turn. One more turn, guys. One more turn. We just gotta be safe. You know, we gotta be safe. Surely Yuki doesn't die here, right? Surely. I mean, he didn't die. So we buff, we ult, and we break him. Then we use perfect sync, and we have the buffs from her skill 2, which increases physical damage. And then obviously we're very low on the threshold, so our passive's kicking in, so we're going to deal more damage with the characteristic. And then obviously we're going to ult, which is going to be pretty much a lot of her damage, right? Skill 3 is also going to be a lot of damage as well. So if the boss does manage to live, we can use our skill 3 right after. We should break here too with Geto. So keep in mind, his damage is not going to be high because we're debuffing the enemy on physical damage taken rather than curse. 2.5 mil. She roughly did almost the same amount as Geto. Meanwhile, Geto's been debuffing for her the entire time, which is absurd. I guess we'll just, you know, hit him again with a skill 3, skill 1, and then we'll use our skill 3 just to kind of showcase how much damage we can do with it if we manage to get to it. Okay, maybe not. We just kill him. But yeah, damage wasn't anything crazy, nothing spectacular. This was just like a standard normal team that if you were to spam her. Obviously, if you were doing like, let's say, story and there's more mobs, you can start using your skill 3 more than your skill 2. Your skill 3 will charge your ultimate quicker, and then on top of that, it will do AoE damage, which it's pretty strong, pretty like good damage AoE. So, you know, in those situations it'd be better. Obviously, we're only at a singular boss, so I didn't feel like it was worthy enough or needed enough to use skill 3 here. Just skill 2 to kind of get below the threshold. Now that we're done with the normal team, let's move on to the Nuke team, where we're actually going to showcase her damage output with actual debuffers and everything to, you know, maximize to the highest output. All right, so here we are on the Nuke team. As you can see, we already have everything set to go. I figured I'd kind of save you guys the trouble of, you know, running through this whole stage and taking my sweet time doing it. But anyways, as you can see, we do have everything ready to go. Ults, you know, debuffs, everything. We'll just kind of show you everything first. So here we're going to use Domain Expansion Gojo's ult. Then we're going to use skill 1, of course, from Megami. And then we're going to skill 3 with Geto. Or maybe I might even ult. I think I might even ult, right? I could use skill 3 and then increase the overall damage that our Saki does next, right? Because we should get the break. And then we use the memory and then the ult. Now, one thing to note, of course, with me using the memory here is the biggest factor that I am not below the 35% threshold. So I am losing a bit of damage output here. It's very difficult to actually get her really low, especially when it's not a very difficult stage. And when it is a very difficult stage, when you are trying to get her low, she doesn't get low. It's a big, like, a hassle. It's a big hassle. Anyways, we're going to try to get as much damage as possible. Obviously, in this situation, it's not the most optimal Nuke situation, but it's still workable. Now, in terms of debuffs, as you can see, we have all these debuffs active on the enemy. You know, Gojo debuff from Megami, all that good stuff. Well, not Gojo, it's going to be right now. Obviously, it's not going to be the maximum efficiency, but it's better than nothing. And yeah, obviously, we have the Megami debuffs going through. We have all the debuffs from, of course, our Geto. And yeah, this is going to be the most amount of damage that we can do to the enemy. I'm even debating using the ult here with our Geto rather than skill 3, just because Domain Expansion Gojo might use his ult first, and then it might lead into Saki attacking first anyways. So I think what we'll do here is ult. And maybe, hopefully, the boss doesn't die. I don't think it should. Yeah, the boss didn't die, but it will be broken. And then Megumi will debuff. And then we'll have the, of course, the ult from Saki. Yeah, as you can see, pretty bad. I really don't like this character. It's just so, like, the way that you have to play this character is so roundabout. You want her to essentially take damage and get really low or even die so that way you can do good damage. It's just ridiculous. The risk factor is not worth the damage result when other characters can do the same. As you can see, Team Geto literally did practically, yes, I have a little bit more investment into him, but let's say I had the almost equal investment. I guarantee you that Team Geto would be doing as much damage as her, and even with her, what's it called? Threshold. It's just, and he's just a debuffer. So, like, he's a main DPS, but, like, he's also a debuffer. So it's like, yeah, I feel like he's just way better. And I'm not trying to, like, you know, shit on Saki, like, you know, compare her to obviously Geto, because Geto's obviously leagues ahead of her. It's just, she really let me down, and this is one of the biggest reasons why nobody really uses this character, is just because of that threshold, the risk, all for the reward, and the reward is basically a fucking slap to the face. But yeah, let's just get rid of this boss. Like, I mean, I'll probably use skill 3 here, right? If Team Geto doesn't kill, maybe we'll get a skill 3 off of Saki. Probably not. But yeah, that's basically going to be the Saki Rindo showcase. Now, again, if you're on global, please don't summon for this character. The only time you should summon for this character is legitimately if you enjoy or love this character, right? She's just not that good. I'm gonna be straight up with you. She's just not that good. She ain't it, Chief. She ain't it. It's just too many conditions just to do decent damage. She kind of reminds me of Blue Ghetto on his release, where you don't do good damage, you do shit damage, and you only do good damage once you fulfill the conditions, which is just ridiculous. You should always do good damage and then have a condition that will help you do even more damage. So yeah, again, this character is just not for me, not my taste, but that's Saki Rindo for you. Hopefully you enjoyed, and this kind of helped you decide if you want to get the character or not. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.